Today we're talking about gentleness, one of the 9 fruit of the Spirit that the Apostle Paul tells us about in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. Hello, I'm Kathy Bartow. When you hear that someone is showing gentleness, what words come to mind? Tenderness, kindness, forgiveness? Would you say that weakness is the same as gentleness? If someone is gentle, is he more of a follower than a leader? Is he someone who can stand up for himself or be assertive? Now let's look at the differences between weakness and meekness as it pertains to gentleness. If a person is weak, he is not able to do something. If a person is meek, he is able to do something, but he chooses not to do it. In the Bible, meekness is shown as a strength, and it's something that both Jesus and Moses possessed. Biblical meekness is gentleness and strength under control. Listen to Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Jesus personified gentleness, meekness, and humbleness. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 29, Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Jesus demonstrated great gentleness in John chapter 8, verses 1 through 11. This is when the teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought a woman to Jesus, whom they had just caught in the act of adultery. According to Mosaic law, she should be stoned. Listen to what Jesus said to them in John chapter 8, verse 7. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Jesus was responding with gentleness toward the woman and towards those who were trying to trap him. One by one, the men left until there was no one remaining. Why? Because they were all guilty of sinning as well. There were no harsh words spoken, nor voices raised. Jesus spoke with gentleness and compassion, telling the woman to go and sin no more. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this next passage. It's from the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." In Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, Paul encourages us to put on gentleness like we would a piece of clothing. "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." Gentleness does not seek revenge. Gentleness is not weakness, and gentleness is not defensive. Gentleness does not need to speak out in anger or use harsh words. Paul exercised gentleness as stated in his letters to both the Corinthians and to the Philippians. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1, "By the humility and gentleness of Christ, I appeal to you, I, Paul, who am timid when face to face with you, but bold towards you when away." And in Philippians chapter 4, verse 5, "Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near." As Christ followers, we are to walk in Jesus' shoes. We are to choose gentleness. Listen to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. "In your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you, to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander." Till next time, peace be with you.